Hi friends, welcome to Beautifully Bookish Bethany. In today's video, I'm going to be talking about my reading plans for the month of March and my TBR for the Roll of Reads Readathon, hosted by a book fiend called Mel that I'm going to be a co-host for. So Mel is a friend and a patron and another content creator based in Australia who's lovely. You should go check her out. I'll have her tag down below. And she's hosting a month-long readathon that's really fun called Roll of Reads that is based on a TBR game that she plays. It's for the entire month of March and she asked me to be co-host. So I will have her and the other co-hosts linked down below if you want to go and check all of them out. But this is really fun. So she gave us all the things we need to play the game. I do have footage of me playing the game. It is kind of loosely tied to sort of a Dungeons and Dragons style thing where you roll a d20 to determine on a game board which prompt you have to choose. If you roll a 1, you have to draw a punishment card. If you roll a 20, you get to do a reward card. I didn't get a 1 or a 20. I kind of lucked out, as you'll see, but here's the footage of me playing the game, and then I will bring you back here to show you what I'm going to be reading for the prompts that I ended up rolling for the Roll of Reads Readathon. And you can find more information on Mel's channel, as well as join the Discord and find all the information if you want to join in. So here's my game board setup. You have to do 20 cards, and first you roll to see how many rolls you have to do using a d8. I did great. I rolled a 3, so I only have to roll for 3 prompts, which is fantastic. I'm doing voiceover because my kids were like chatting in the background. I think at one point one of them does it, so I got a 6. So you count up to number 6 on your little game board, and my first prompt is a book set somewhere you've been. Not too difficult. And then you replace it with a card from the stack, roll again, and this time we got an 8. So let's see what we got here. Count up to number 8, and the prompt is a BIPOC author. Also not too difficult, so happy with that choice. And then my 7-year-old really wanted to roll, so I was like, okay, fine. So we got a 14. And the final prompt for my Roll of Reads Readathon TBR that I will be choosing from is a book that has been adapted. Okay, so I feel like I kind of lucked out. So as you saw, I kind of lucked out. You originally roll a d8 to see how many rolls you have to do, and I only had to do 3. I had no punishments. I also had no rewards. I only had 3 prompts I had to fulfill, and it was pretty easy, I'm gonna be honest. So let's go over the 3 and what I'm gonna be reading for them. The first prompt is to read a book set somewhere you've been, and for that, I'm gonna be picking up Every Time You Hear That Song by Jenna Voorhees. I had this for review from Penguin Teen. It comes out in April. It's a queer coming-of-age story / romance with country music, and at least part of it is set in Nashville. I have been to Nashville. I even have a whole vlog of my hanging out with booktube friends in Nashville. So it is set somewhere I have been, and it was something on my TBR already, so that was easy to do, so I'll be reading that. Next is to read a book that has been adapted, and one of the books on my challenge TBR list for the year and on my series reading challenge TBR is Station 11 by Emily St. John Mandel, which has been adapted. I have not seen the show. I've heard it's pretty good, but I've been meaning to read this for quite some time, and this seems like a great opportunity, so I'm gonna slot that in there. And then lastly, I got BIPOC author. I do read a lot of books by Black, Indigenous, and person of color authors. It's a priority, so I was like, sweet, easy prompt to do. I got pretty easy prompts, I'll be honest. This was not hard at all. For that, I'm going with the book that my patrons picked for me to read this month that I'll be doing a reading vlog for, and that is Monstrillo by Gerardo Samano Cordova. This is a small press horror novel that has gotten a lot of buzz and people seem to really love it. It's dealing with grief and parenthood. I've heard it's a little bit rough, but also amazing, so I'm excited to read it. And it is by a Mexican author. So putting that in as my third and final pick for the Roll of Reads Readathon, I think I'm pretty easily going to knock those out, and I got really lucky with my reads, so yay. So there you go, that is my TBR for the Roll of Reads Readathon. I hope you will join us. It's gonna be a fun time, and yeah, see what you get with the luck of the dice. But of course that is not all that I'm going to be reading, because I always have lots of things. And I usually also don't get to everything, so I have things that I'll be rolling over from February TBR to this. I won't necessarily mention all of them in this video, but there are books that I didn't get to in February that I'm going to try to get to in March. But then I've also got book club picks and read-alongs. So for patron and member book club, we are going to be reading The Good House by Tananarive Due. I don't yet have a physical copy in my hands, but it is on its way to me, and I do have the audiobook. So I'll probably do a blended read for this one. I love Tananarive Due. Heard fantastic things about this. It is a fairly lengthy horror novel with a haunted house that is also dealing with grief. So I feel like this is going to be the month for horror centering grief and loss of children, because I think that's also partly what it's about. So we're going to be reading that for book club in March and discussing at the end of the month, which I'm definitely looking forward to. Every month we have a different category of books, and patrons have the chance to vote on which one we're going to read. So I don't remember what was March? Oh, I know what it was. March, because it's Women's History Month, was a book by an iconic woman, and I think Tananarive Due definitely counts, so that is the book we're reading in March, which is exciting. The other read-along that's happening this month is the Rainwild Chronicles read-along, so that's going to be hosted on my channel along with Bedtime Bookworm, Scarlet Moon Creations, and Christie's Cozy Corner, so stay tuned for the live show for that. We're going to be reading one book a month, and there's 4 books, so this month we're reading book 1, which is the only one I don't own physically, but again, it is on its way to me, and I do have the audio book, and it is Dragon Keeper by Robin Hobb, so I'm very excited. I love Robin Hobb, and this should be very interesting. Then I have The Wings Upon Her Back by Samantha Mills. This is from Tachyon, which is a small press that does sci-fi fantasy releases primarily. It's coming out April 23rd, and just the premise sounded really interesting. A loyal warrior in a crisis of faith must fight to regain her place and begin her life again while questioning the events of her past. This gripping science fantasy novel is a complex, action-packed exploration of the costs of zealous faith, brutal war, and unquestioning obedience. It sounds very interesting, sounds up my alley, so I'm gonna read that. Tor.com sent me a new and revised bind-up of the Book of Illyrian, which includes 2 books by Martha Wells that were previously published, The Element of Fire and The Death of the Necromancer, so I want to get to this. I'll be honest, I'm probably not going to complete all of this month, but I would like to at least start it. So that is on the TBR. Fathom Folk by Eliza Chan. This gorgeous book was sent to me by Orbit, a thrilling, incisive fantasy of diaspora and dragons. Tasha Suri called it an unmissable debut. If you're hungry for a beautiful Southeast Asian influenced fantasy with razor sharp edges, this book is for you. So we've got humans, we've got a half siren. I'm really excited, and I think that the cover is gorgeous. It is the first book in a series, so hoping to pick that one up. And then lastly, for my physical TBR, we have Night's Edge by Liz Karen. I was sent an early copy of book 2 in the series, so I want to get caught up and read book 1, and I think it's probably going to happen in March. This is a horror series that includes vampires and has a complicated mother-daughter relationship. It seems interesting. People seem to have liked it, so we're going to try it out. But of course, I also have some digital books for review from NetGalley that I'm going to try to pick up in March as well. First we have Shinalendi. I'm not sure exactly the pronunciation, but this is by Darcy Littlebadger, and it is a prequel to Alatsoe, which I loved. This is her grandmother's story when she was a girl, so I'm excited to pick this up and kind of be back in this world. I really like her writing. Next is A Sweet Sting of Salt by Rose Sutherland. This is interesting. It's a queer reimagining of the Selkie Wife folktale that sounds really good, kind of a darker queer fantasy. I love the cover. Some of the early reviews looked good, so I'm excited to try that out. The Kiss Countdown by Etta Easton is a new contemporary romance that looks really cute, where a struggling event planner and a sinfully hot astronaut must decide if their fake relationship is worth a shot at happily ever after in this starry debut. It looks really cute. I like the premise. It seems kind of nerdy. I like a fake dating trope, so we're gonna try that. The Breakup Lists by Adib Khorram. This is a queer YA romance and coming of age story. It says love is more complicated than boy meets boy in this sharply funny new romantic comedy set in the sordid world of high school theater. Sounds like fun. I did high school theater. I feel like this could be very interesting. Then I have Something Kindred by Sierra Birch. I there's something about this cover that makes me think it's gonna be my vibe. I don't know that I can tell you exactly why. It's pitched as magical realism meets Southern Gothic in this commanding young adult debut from Sierra Birch about true love, the meaning of home, and the choices that haunt us. It's got a ghost girl, family's past, small town. I feel like it's gonna be great. Then we've got Immortal Pleasures by V. Castro. This was originally published in Spanish, and the English translation is now being published. It is a darker, kind of horror-tinged take on vampires that is also sapphic, and it looks good. I'm very excited to try something from V. Castro. And then finally, I've got A Viscount for the Egyptian Princess by Haba Helmi. This is one of those little Harlequin historicals, and I just thought this looked really interesting because it's actually written by a Middle Eastern Muslim woman. And a lot of times when you've seen these sort of like Arab romances, they're by white authors that are a little bit like weird exoticizing, and so this sounded interesting because it's not, hopefully not that. Escape to 1870s Egypt and explore the royal court with this spellbinding romance. An unforgettable meeting in Paris, an unexpected reunion in Egypt. Viscount Louis Wesley is captivated by the beautiful woman he meets at the Louvre. He never expects to see her again, but then he arrives in Egypt for his royal best friend's wedding and discovers she's the bride, Princess Mervat. So drama, he's falling for the woman who's supposed to be getting married. Sounds like fun. So excited to check that out. And I think all of those are April releases. I do also have some March releases that were in my February TBR that I haven't gotten to yet that I'll hopefully pick up. But those are the new ones. So that's my primary TBR for March. Of course, I do also have some ongoing reading projects that I'm doing, so I may make some progress on those. We'll see how things end up, but talk to me in the comments down below. Let me know your thoughts or feelings on anything I talked about in this video. And for question of the day, let me know if you saw a theme in your February reading or if you're planning for March in your March reading. Is there something unexpected? Like, I feel like I have a couple of horror books that deal with grief and child loss. Didn't necessarily plan for that to happen, but it's how it ended up, which is kind of interesting. I don't know. Let me know in the comments down below. If you like this video, it always helps if you give it a thumbs up. Subscribe if you want to see more. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you next time.